Poštovani gledatelji, dobar dan i dobrodošli u prvu ovogodišnju emisiju Diplomacija. Na samom početku dopustite da vam zaželim sretnu i uspješnu novu godinu. Naravno da pratite i dalje našu emisiju u kojoj ćemo i dalje dovoditi veleposlanike svih zemalja s kojima Hrvatska ima dobre bilateralne odnose. Jedna od tih zemalja je i daleka Malezija, tako da je moj današnji cijenjeni gost upravo veleposlanik Malezije ovdje u Hrvatskoj, njegova ekscelencija Kennedy Mayong. Your Excellency, welcome. Thank you for your time, and at the very beginning, let me wish you a happy new year, may it be a successful one.
Thank you very much, Dobar dan and Vala, for inviting me here today. And I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you a happy new year, and to all the viewers as well, a happy new year. And I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate Croatia for entering the Eurozone as well as the Schengen area. And I wish Croatia all the best.
Thank you very much. Before we start discussing our relations, let's just mention some basic information for our viewers. So the Embassy of Malaysia was established in Zagreb on 21st July 1994 at the level of Charge d'Affaires. Okay, and then in April 2003, your country upgraded its representation here in Croatia with the appointment of the first ambassador. You are now the sixth ambassador, and you've been here for more than or around a year and a half. So how would you describe our relations?
Yes. Basically, the relations between Malaysia and Croatia remains warm and friendly since the establishment of diplomatic relations 30 years ago. And my job here is, of course, to ensure the existing cooperation that began since the last 30 years is enhanced and strengthened. And also we are looking at new areas of cooperation, because now the world is becoming more and more dynamic, new technologies. So both Malaysia and Croatia, we must keep up with the times in order to enhance these cooperations. Although Malaysia and Croatia is, of course, the distance is very far.
Yes.
Yeah. So we look forward to enhance political cooperation, economic, social, culture, and so on and so forth.
Malaysia is, of course, not in Europe, so we can't discuss the mentioned Eurozone or Schengen or the European Union, but you are in a big union yourself, so the so-called Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes. ASEAN was, I think, established on 8th of August 1967, comprised of 10 members, Brunei, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Philippines, and Thailand. And I think Timor-Leste is hopefully in the future will be our 11th member. So at this present moment, there is only Malaysia and Indonesia embassy based in Croatia. And the association primarily focus on focusing on economic integrations, and also to enhance social, cultural integration among its members. There is similarities to the European Union. And then at the same time, our second objective is to, in accordance with the, to achieve regional stability and prosperity within the Charter of the United Nations. So, and then I'd just like to highlight that ASEAN and EU have already achieved cooperation for the more than 45 years. This last year we celebrate about the 45th year of cooperation, and I think ASEAN and EU upgraded to a strategic partnership in 2020. So all these partnerships are geared towards achieving the United Nations SDG, Sustainable Development Goals 2030, and also in line with the Paris Agreement on climate change, ensuring that people, both ASEAN and also in Europe are not left behind in terms of development and economic development. Yeah.
Malaysia and Croatia are different in many things, in size, in population, religion, and of course in customs. But we do have some things in common. For example, the importance of tourism for our income. So what is it that you think is most important, most attractive in Malaysia in terms of tourism, and what do you find most attractive in Croatia?
Yes, both countries, tourism is important for both countries, Malaysia and Croatia. Both have its natural attractions, beautiful islands, and I'm sure as Croatia being a member of Schengen, will benefit greatly with the influx. From my reading last year, Croatia received almost 19 million tourists. Malaysia, we opened our borders due to the pandemic only in the middle of the year last year, so we only received half of that, about 9 million. Like I said, we share a lot of similarities because we also have long coastal areas. So we both countries are looking at having a cooperation on tourism. We are working on that, on how we can learn from each other to attract more tourism. Because this year, 2023, is a challenging year because of the possible global recession, inflation, and so on. So this cooperation will help both countries in getting more foreign tourists to our countries.
Do Malaysians come in Croatia?
Yes, the number, if I'm not mistaken, before the pandemic, the numbers has reached about 15,000. Yes, 15,000, even more, 15 to 20 in 2019. But the number, I think, was not that great during the pandemic, 2020 and 2021. But on average, there are about 300 people coming to Croatia on a daily basis. So this is good news for Croatia. Before the pandemic, there are around 3,000 to 4,000 Croatians coming to Malaysia. So we hope that this year and maybe next year more tourists from Croatia will come.
Is it expensive to...
You're most welcome.
Thank you. Is it expensive to travel to Malaysia?
It's quite reasonable because I think you have to calculate in the terms of the packages when you go to either, like I said, we are trying to promote not only Malaysia, but we welcome you to ASEAN, the 10 members. Most tourists would prefer, because it's a long way, so most people would like to have like a package tour. Similarly, Malaysians, when they come here, they also visit Slovenia, Bosnia, yes, Hungary, and so on and so forth, sometimes even to Italy. So we also would like to promote not only Malaysia, but ASEAN. Yeah.
Okay. So when we visit Malaysia, we'll visit the whole package.
Yes, please. Okay. You're most welcome.
Let's talk economy. So Malaysia is a country with high GDP, and you are a very good example of a successful development. How did you do it? How do you do it? And do you think that Croatia is in similar path?
We talked about tourism. So tourism, provides some additional, income for the country. But I think both Malaysia and Croatia, we have other sectors. We have manufacturing. We are focused on technology. Agriculture is an important sector as well as for Croatia. So I think both countries will need to diversify, because if we depend on one sector, sometimes the example of when the pandemic hit, of course, it poses a lot of challenges. So we are looking at working with like-minded countries like Croatia on diversifying our cooperation, maybe in the fields of AI, artificial intelligence, green technology. These are the things that will help both countries to because we are not big countries. I know that Croatia is almost 4 million population. Malaysia is, although we have slightly more, 33 million. But we cannot compare with the big other large countries. So we have to compete and work together in order to achieve mutual interests.
But you are succeeding. Your GDP is constantly increasing, and you are developing at, I would say, it's a pretty high rate. So.
Because we are blessed with a lot of natural resources. We export LNG, liquid natural gas, and also we export petroleum. We are a trading nation. We export palm oil, rubber, cocoa. And we are lucky also, we don't have a lot of natural disaster. So in that sense, we also, because we are in a region that is very dynamic. So if countries like Malaysia and Croatia, we do not work together or compete, we will lose out. So I'm sure Croatia is also on the right path when it joins the Eurozone and Schengen in terms of getting better loans and preferential benefits in developing the country, I'm sure. And then the most important is the integration within the region, because you have to depend and work closely with your neighbors.
Yes,
like,
that's right. So
like what we are doing.
You mentioned trade, so Malaysia and Croatia are definitely not close geographically speaking, but that doesn't stop us from developing economy and trade. So how are you satisfied with those numbers? For example, for the last year, 2022?
Based on figures, it has been encouraging because if compared to last year, I think from what I read, the trade increased by 53%. Not that big, but it went up to about around almost 40 million euros. It's not big compared to your neighbors, your trade with Italy, with Germany, and so on and so forth. But we are actively promoting, we are looking at the possibility of establishing a Malaysia-Croatia Chamber of Commerce to enhance this business and trade-related activities in terms of import and export. Of course, most embassies would like to export more to Europe, especially through Croatia. But at the same time, we are looking also how we can have smart partnerships with Croatian business people, because we think that business, the small and medium enterprise in Croatia can benefit if we help them. When we find partners, because we can offer, Malaysia can offer ourselves, ASEAN countries as well, to offer ourselves as a platform or to expand your business to Japan, to China, to India and some other parts of the world, because they are also our partners there. So, and then when we find partners, Malaysian businessmen there, they can help to market the Croatian products. Now we are looking at the ensuring that like the port facilities, Rijeka port will be able to accommodate all these shipments of goods in the near future. So there's a lot of potential because it will, because in the future, because now we are dependent on other ports, major ports like in Rotterdam and so other ports. So I think Rijeka port has a lot of potential.
Thank you for that. I hope you're right. And definitely you can offer, what you said, you can offer this big, huge market, the whole Asian market. And what can we offer? What can Croatian people offer?
Like I said, we have already some businesses having businesses in Malaysia. But Malaysia, we always help our small and medium industry. Because they are our backbone, because all companies start from small before they become big corporations. So in that manner, we spend a lot of resources to help them market the products. I'm sure that Croatian small and medium enterprises have a potential, especially from the agricultural sector. Your technology, Infobip is one company that have expanded in Malaysia. They are focused on technology, and we are looking at other cooperation as well, education, healthcare services. Even a lot of agricultural, even your food like truffles. There's wines also.
Have you tasted Croatian wines?
Yes, I've ordered a few. I have several bottles that I keep Croatian wines at home as a collection when I have guests, and I drink it from time to time.
Okay. Enjoy it. Okay. Education. You've mentioned education is our next topic, but before that, I would just like to mention yet another thing which is connected to your country being a very successful one. There is a need to create an equal and fair economic distribution in order to guarantee the rights and needs of those who are economically vulnerable. So what are you doing in that direction?
I think nowadays, governments everywhere around the world, they are being pressured to ensure that people get, provide social and welfare benefits to everyone. In the age of internet, you can see citizens can criticize, can voice out their opinions. So they put pressure on the politicians and the government to ensure that they are given the basic human rights, that the vulnerables and the poor are being protected. So in that sense, I think all governments, they must work hard to ensure that these groups, the vulnerable ones, their problems are being addressed. So the basic problems is like housing, the rights to water, electricity, gas, sometimes employment. These are the basic things that I think the poor or vulnerable people need. So Malaysia, we understand that because if we marginalize certain groups, they will definitely will not vote. They will not vote the people to be in power. So we, based on, like I said, based on the, we are lucky because we have the resources sometimes, and we are a trading nation. So we try our very best to ensure that all these groups their needs are being accommodated. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I hope you succeed. Yeah. You are succeeding, and you'll succeed in the future as well. Let's talk about education. So if I was 10 years younger, I would like to go to Malaysia study. Would it be possible?
Yes.
Do we have some programs that?
That's right. Education is one of the cooperation that we identified. I think last year we went to, for example, University of Split, and they were looking at possible cooperation with one of our private universities in Malaysia, Talis University. It's one of the best, I think, ASEAN private universities in Malaysia. So these are the kind of cooperation. Of course, when you talk about educational cooperation, usually it's either student exchange or lecture exchange. But during our discussion, we would like to expand that to like having like a study, more study programs exchange where both countries can benefit. At least the universities can benefit. So we are looking at cooperation with the University of Zagreb as well, and I think 10 or 15 years ago, we do have 1 or 2 students studying here, and we do encourage foreign students to study in Malaysia, because but we understand that in Croatia you provide free education, so you are very lucky here. So because Malaysia also, we send our students to study in UK. But usually students study UK, Australia, because we have strong connections with the British. And then there are some students who go to other parts of Europe. But we do encourage, like I said, we do have students before. So we are now establishing contact so that we have students coming here, at least 2 or 3 students coming here, either in Zagreb or in Split. And we also encourage you, because when we have this partnership, you have the people-to-people contact. Although you are studying here for free, but it could be a short term, it could be 6 months or even longer. Because this connections is important, because you want to learn something from other countries. We benefited when we sent our students and then after they finish their graduation, either for 1 year or 2 years, when they come back, they bring their experiences, bring a new perspective. This in a way help our country to grow. And then we can learn a lot of new working cultures and so on and so forth. And we have contacts when we deal with people from Croatia, from other regions, and so on and so forth. So it has been benefited for us. And we have basically tried to promote higher education in Malaysia. So we welcome, and we always say that it is cheaper to study in Malaysia compared if you go to in the US or even go to British. But like I said, yeah, we still send students to UK, because we need to send our students everywhere so that they learn to Russia, to China.
Yes, because that
everywhere.
Experience is something that you can learn.
That's right.
School
That's right.
and university.
Yeah.
Or
it's not too late for you to come and study.
Thank you. Yeah. I think it is, but thank you.
Yeah, life is a long, lifelong process,
yes.
Studying.
You mentioned that we have free education. How is it in Malaysia?
It is free until high school.
Okay.
But once you enter university, only the cost is not that expensive. If you enter the national universities. We have more than 10 national universities, but the rest of it are private universities. So, so private universities, as you know, usually they charge for you to study. But we have, if I'm not mistaken, there are 500 private universities in Malaysia. But I think it has been reduced to almost half, because the government, I think, established this Malaysian Quality Academy to ensure the quality of these universities are in at the international standards. So that's why we, the Ministry of Higher Education of Malaysia, we actively promote Malaysia because of the cost and of course to ensure that they meet the international standards.
That's nice. Yeah. Culture is closely linked to education, and I think that cultural heritage is like a major pillar between countries. So can you tell us a few interesting facts about Malaysian culture, and do you know anything about Croatia?
One of the work that we are doing is to promote cultural understanding between both countries. Malaysia, we are lucky because we comprise of three main groups, Malay, Chinese and Indians. We have other smaller ethnic groups and different background, different religions. And Croatia is interesting because you have also interesting cultures. You have music, like klapa, music, and then based on that, we recently, I think 2 months ago, we cooperated with Lado to work together on the folklore of Croatian folklore. That was held at the Croatian National Theatre, and we are working. We have good cooperation. Work closely with your embassy in Kuala Lumpur, which they also bring the Klapa group to Malaysia and perform in Malaysia. So these are the things that collaboration that we are doing between Malaysia and Croatia in promoting culture in both countries. So we hope that more can be done, and we are looking forward to, I think, participate in the Rijeka Carnival this February, 19 February. Hopefully, we also perform some traditional dances. Ethnic groups from Malaysia, especially in Sabah, from Sabah, and also we wear our traditional costume, which is something unique and different that you don't see every day.
Yes, of course. Yes, that's what I was gonna ask about. Perhaps arranging some, I don't know, Malaysian days, or did you have something like that in mind for the future? Maybe you can organize something like that.
Last year, I think most countries celebrated 30 years of diplomatic relations. So we had we perform at the Dubro Jutro HRT. We presented a few Malaysian food or pastries, and also performed one of our dance, the cultural dance. So this year we are looking at participation in a Rijeka Carnival. We also went to Rijeka to Split nearby and Samabor. Look at the possibility of having performance there. We went to Samabor already. We perform also this cultural performance and so on and so forth. But at the same time, we would like to bring welcome a performance folklore from Croatia to perform in Malaysia. That's how we can have understanding between both countries.
Yes, we are near the end of the show, so I would like to ask you about your plans for the year that has started.
So basically, the priority for the remaining of my tour here will be focused on, like I mentioned earlier just now, is to identify new areas of cooperation. I mentioned just now how we are, Malaysia and Croatia, we are not major superpowers. We are not. So we have to be competitive and to ensure that our people enjoy a very good quality of life. In order to do that, we must identify some cooperation in the advancements of artificial intelligence, green technology, Even tourism. Some of the cooperation is eco-friendly tourism, because now there's over-tourism, so-called over-tourism. How we can sustain and make sure that future generation will benefit. These are some of the things that we need to, despite the challenging times because of the global inflations, the war in Ukraine and so on and so forth, labor shortages, material shortages. So these are the challenges that, but the areas of cooperation is endless. I mentioned also healthcare. We want to make sure that small countries like us, we are prepared for the next pandemic and new viruses in the near future. Robotics, cooperation in robotics. Malaysia and Croatia cannot be left behind. So only through working together with like-minded countries like Croatia and other countries, I'm sure both we will benefit, have mutual benefits, and we will prosper.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you for this strong and powerful message.
Thank you very much.
And thank you once again for your time, for being here today.
Thank you very much for your invitation, and thank you very much.
I hope we'll see each other again soon.
Thank you.
Poštovani gledatelji, došli smo do kraja još jedne emisije Diplomacija. Do sljedećeg petka, lijep pozdrav i ostanite uz program televizije Jadran.